Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson where I'm going to talk about the weekend. Even though it's only Friday morning for me right now as I make this, I always look forward to the weekend. I do like my job, but I do look forward to the weekend every single week. It's so much fun to have some time off work. For those of you that don't know what the weekend is Friday evening, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. I guess technically Monday morning might be part of the weekend, but we don't count that as part of the weekend. So the weekend is that part of the week where usually you don't need to work. Anyways, welcome to this English lesson about the weekend. Before we get started, I do want to say hi to everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for spending some time learning a little bit of English today. I want to say hi to Madi and SEO Woo, and I want to say hi to Dave and Todd, who are both here moderating. I want to say hi to Sam, to Lolly Lolly. I see Patana is in the chat. Panthera Nori is in the chat. It's so good to see all of you regulars here, as well as all the other people who are joining. I'm just going to give a little bit of a sound check here, or do a little bit of a sound check. Sounds like everything is working quite well. So let me wait before we go to the first slide. Let's talk about a little bit more about the weekend. Like I said, the weekend includes Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. Sometimes we even have an extra day. Sometimes we have the Friday off work or school, or we have the Monday off work or school. That's how we talk about a day when we don't have work or school. And then we call it a long weekend. So a normal weekend, or what we would just call the weekend, is Friday evening, Saturday and Sunday. And a long weekend is either Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, and Monday if Friday or Monday is a holiday or a day off. I really like long weekends. We just had a long weekend here in Canada. We had Thanksgiving weekend. It was a really nice weekend. We had the Monday off in addition to Saturday and Sunday. I hear in the chat that the sound is very good quality. I see that Svetlana has joined and become a member of the channel. Thank you so much, Svetlana, for joining. But I feel like we should get things started. Did I remind you that you should keep the chat English only? You should use the link that Todd and Dave share in order to ask a question. Please do not ask questions in the chat. And please enjoy this lesson. So here we go. So there's a couple things about the weekend that you might do. By the way, I think I'm going to be teaching you a lot of English phrases in this lesson that you probably don't know, or maybe you're not sure how to use. But typically, what's different about the weekend is that you will stay up late. Okay, you can see in this picture, this guy is staying up late. I think he's actually studying on the weekend. Yeah, most students don't study on the weekend, but one thing you will do on the weekend is you will stay up late. If your normal bedtime is something like 10 p.m., you might stay up till 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. or midnight, as we call it. So one thing that you might do on the weekend is you might stay up late. You might also stay out late. So notice the difference between the two. On the weekend, I often stay up late. That usually means that I'm at home and I just stay up past my normal bedtime, okay? When you stay out late, though, it means that you've gone out. And I know during these times now, most of us are stuck at home because of COVID, but often on the weekend, people will stay out late. I don't often stay out late anymore. I think I'm getting a little too old for that, but definitely I stay up late, but I don't often stay out late. When you stay out late, it might be because you enjoy the nightlife. The nightlife, when we use the term nightlife, it refers to anything you can do at night on the weekend, okay? So maybe you like going to a restaurant, maybe you like going to a bar, maybe you like going out to see a movie. Anything that you do at night for entertainment or socializing in a public setting, we would call the nightlife. So again, these people, I think, are shopping at night. It looks like there is an evening street market. So anything you do at night to entertain yourself, we would call enjoying the nightlife. When I was younger, I used to enjoy the nightlife a lot more than I do now. I should stop talking about how old I am, shouldn't I? I'll do that. One thing that most people do, and this is related to staying up late and staying out late, is that they sleep in. I sleep in a little bit. on the weekends. I don't sleep in a lot, but a lot of times people will sleep in on the weekend. So if they normally get up at 6 a.m., they might get up at 7 or 8. They might set their alarm clock during the week so that they get up on time. But on the weekend, they might just not set their alarm clock. And they might just wake up whenever they are done sleeping. So often on the weekend, people will sleep in. I do want to pause for a minute and say hi to all of the people watching. I'm not sure how many people are watching so far. Oh, 253. Always surprising how many people are watching. And let me do just a little audio check for a second here. Yes, looks like things are still working. Great. I was going to say something else and I can't remember what it was. So we'll just continue with the lesson. Oh, yes, work. What is this slide doing here? This to me, when I saw this picture, looked like a man. He's looking at his phone and I'm imagining his boss is saying, I need you to come in on Saturday. Or his boss is saying, I need you to work on Saturday. Or his boss might be saying, can you take a shift on Saturday? A shift is a certain amount of hours that you work. The reality of the world, the reality of life is that some people do work on the weekends, okay? Sometimes I work on the weekends. If I have a lot of grading to do, I will work on the weekends. But sometimes you do need to work. Many people work 5 days a week. Some people work more than 5 days a week, especially if you have a part-time job. You might end up getting called into work on a Saturday. Okay. So again, when I picture this guy looking at his phone, I think he kind of looks a little sad because I think the message he's reading is from his boss and it says, can you work on Saturday or can you come in on Saturday for a few hours to work? So not always fun to work on a Saturday, but it is nice to make a little bit of extra money. So this lesson is not about The Weeknd. So I'm not sure if you are familiar with The Weeknd. He is a very, very popular Canadian singer. The Weeknd is from Toronto. Notice he misspells the word weekend in his stage name. So obviously The Weeknd isn't his real name. But if you were thinking this lesson was going to be about the singer, The Weeknd, it's not. So I just thought I should clarify that. But if you have not listened to any songs by The Weeknd, I recommend that you do. He is a very, very popular Canadian singer from Toronto. Let me just fix this slide. So when we talk about The Weeknd, there's a couple of phrases that we use. One phrase that we use before The Weeknd and another phrase we use after The Weeknd when we're talking to coworkers, colleagues, when we're talking to people who we go to school with. We'll say, do you have any plans for the weekend? Basically, it's kind of a polite way just to ask someone, hey, are you doing anything fun this weekend? And that is, for me, in my area of Ontario, Canada, the most common way to ask this question. Do you have any plans for the weekend? We sometimes say, what are you up to this weekend? So we say, do you have any plans for the weekend? Or what are you up to this weekend? And then we share with each other some of the things that we are planning to do. On the flip side, so at the other end of the weekend, we have this question. We say, how was your weekend? So before I leave work on a Friday, I might ask this question. I might say to a colleague, hey, do you have any plans for the weekend? And we might talk about our weekends. When we return on Monday, we will often use this phrase, how was your weekend? Did you have a good weekend? That's another phrase we'll use, or how was your weekend? I do want to give a shout out to Brent. I see Brent in the chat. Brent and I are both teachers in real life. Brent is from American English with This Guy. That's his YouTube channel. And so Brent has been in and out the last few weeks of my live streams because I'm imagining Brent is as busy as I am now that we're back at school. But hi, Brent. It's really good to see you this morning. Let me see here. I need to point out something. So this is a North American English lesson. This is not a British English lesson. In Canada and in the United States, we usually say on the weekend. What did you do on the weekend? On the weekend, I went skiing. In Britain, though, in the UK, they say at the weekend. Now, this is just what the internet told me. I'm not an expert on British English, but I thought I should mention that for Brent and I, Brent as an American and for me as a Canadian, we generally say on the weekend. Yeah, I had a lot of fun on the weekend, or I went to a party on the weekend, or it was really good. I saw my family on the weekend. My understanding is that if you were over on the other side of the Atlantic in the United Kingdom or in Britain, you would say at the weekend. So once again, when you watch my lessons, they are very much North American English. So just so you're aware of that. A very popular thing to do on the weekend is to eat. So you often go out to eat. You often go out with friends to eat. You meet at restaurants. It is very common to go out to eat. Again, in English, when you say that you are going to go out to eat, it means that you are going to a restaurant, okay? If you go to someone's house to eat, that is not the same as going out to eat. So generally, if you said, do you have any plans for the weekend? I might say, oh, Jen and I are going to go out to eat on Saturday night. That means that we're going to go to a restaurant. Hey, let's do a few questions here. I almost forgot that I need to answer some questions. It's always nice to answer your questions. So let me find the first question here. Remember, you need to use the form to ask the questions. And please also remember that the question needs to be on topic. Let's see here. Let me skip this first question here and get to the good one. Yes, there we go. First question is from Athanasios. Good morning, teacher. How are you? Which one is the right way? What are you planning to do on your weekend? What are you planning on doing on your weekend? Thanks. So they both sound a little rough, but they're not incorrect. So if I say, what are you planning to do on your weekend? I would probably change it and say, what are you planning to do on the weekend? There's nothing wrong with saying your weekend. Just it doesn't sound exactly like how I think we would say it. So what are you planning to do on the weekend? The second one, what are you planning on doing on your weekend, is totally correct as well. But we would probably just say, what are you planning to do on the weekend? So no need to use doing in those phrases. We usually just say it a little quicker, Athanasios. Let's see here. Renata says, hello, Bob. Do you and Jen often spend some quality time with your kids on the weekend? Play catch maybe. What else? Have a wonderful weekend, you, Jen, and the kids. Well, thank you, Renata. That is very nice of you. So first of all, for everyone watching, quality time is when you stop working, you stop doing things by yourself, and you spend time with the people you love, usually your family. You can also spend quality time with friends. It means that sometimes you even put your phone away so you have no distractions. So you can just focus on being with the other person. So yes, Renata, we do try to do that. We usually try to do that on the weekend at least once. Lately, we've been going hiking. Last weekend, we actually made a short trip to visit our son who's at university, and we took all the other kids with. So generally, yes, we do try to spend some quality time with our kids on the weekend. Although from the beginning of September till about now, it's really hard to do that because Jen and I are both so busy. Hey, I do want to say hi to the 400 or so people who are watching. If you're new here, there is a subscribe button there. Clicking it is an awesome thing to do, and give me a thumbs up if this video helps you learn a bit more English. I say that so many times, it's starting to sound a little bit weird when I say it. Let's see here. Remember, make sure the questions are on topic, and make sure that you do ask questions where it's related to the lesson right now of the weekend. So Natish says, hello, Bob. What's the difference between get up and wake up? So really simple. Really simple. This is wake up. If I'm laying in bed, when my eyes open, that is wake up. Okay. So I wake up at 6:30 some mornings. But get up is when you actually physically get out of bed. So sometimes I wake up at 6 o'clock, but I get up at 6:30. So I kind of toss and turn for half an hour. When you toss and turn, it means you're trying to sleep, but it's not quite working. So when you wake up, it's when you actually go from being asleep to opening your eyes and being awake. And then get up is when you actually get out of bed. When you physically get out of bed. So I think Brent's heading out now. Brent has class very early in the morning. So see you, Brent. Have a good day. Have a good morning. Hope you have a good weekend as well. Let's see here. Next question from Rod. Hi, Rod. How are you doing? Hi, Mr. Bob. How are you today? How do you actually spend long weekends? Mostly the most celebrated ones have a great Friday. So it depends on the long weekend, Rod. Some long weekends are attached to a holiday. Victoria Day in May and Canada Day in July. On those holidays on the long weekend, there are fireworks to go see. There is a family day long weekend in February. So generally on a family day long weekend, you will get together with your extended family. So remember, my family is Jen and the kids. My extended family is my brothers and sisters, or Jen's brothers and sisters, and our parents. So it just really depends on what month the long weekend is in. We just had Thanksgiving. Usually on Thanksgiving weekend, the long weekend for Thanksgiving, we usually have dinner with our families, but this year we weren't able to do that. Let's see here. Just going to find the next question. Let's see here. Yasin says, Mr. Bob, how's your week been? I've had a good week, but I am looking forward to the weekend. By the way, for some of you, it already is the weekend. Like if you're far enough ahead of me in time zones, it's the weekend. So that's awesome. I still have to go to work in an hour. So hopefully that goes really nice. But anyways, Modine says, assuming the second day is a weekday, is the upcoming weekend this or next weekend? And do all of these in, at, on weekend have the same meaning? So again, we use on the weekend here. So on the weekend, I went to see a movie. On the weekend, I did this. On the weekend, I did that. When you're getting close to the weekend, like when I say, when it's the days preceding, I say this weekend, I'm going to go to a concert. If on a Wednesday, I said next weekend, I'm going to a concert, I'm usually referring to the weekend after. So the approaching weekend is generally called this weekend or just the weekend. Like, what are you going to do this weekend? What are you going to do on the weekend? And then usually the weekend after is referred to as next weekend. So that's usually how you place yourself in time. Let's see here. So again, folks, please only ask questions that have to do with the lesson, please. Let's see here. Let me see. Brahim says, hi, Sir Bob. Sometimes we talk about bridge in holidays. Is it also familiar in Canada? No. And then the other question is, what is Bob is his uncle? That's just a phrase that you say. It's just kind of a cute phrase you say when someone has a situation that's kind of odd. You're like, well, Bob's your uncle. So look that one up, though. It's a very interesting one. Let me check where I am here. Yes, we were talking about go out to eat. There's also go out for breakfast. It's very common on the weekend to go out for breakfast, okay? It's very common on the weekend to meet people in the morning, usually on a Saturday morning, to have breakfast at a restaurant. I like going out for breakfast. Sometimes my brothers and sisters and I will go out for breakfast. Of course, we haven't done that lately, but yes, when you go out to eat, it can mean any meal of the day, but we also sometimes go out for breakfast. Another common type of meal that you can go out and eat on the weekend is something called brunch. Because you tend to sleep in on the weekend, sometimes it's too late to go out for breakfast, but it's too early to go out for lunch. So you go out for brunch. Brunch simply means going to eat in a restaurant past the normal breakfast time, but before the normal lunchtime. So I could meet my sister for brunch tomorrow. It would probably be at 10 or 11 a.m. Okay, so one of us might eat breakfast when we go out. The other one might have lunch, but we would call it brunch. You can see how the word brunch is a combination of the word breakfast and the word lunch. So another very unique thing that happens in North America and other parts of the world is something called the garage sale or the yard sale. And when you go out to other people's houses, let me back up a bit. Sometimes people will have a garage sale on a Saturday morning. So they'll take things that they have, that they own, that they don't want anymore, and they'll put them out on their driveway or on their lawn or in their yard, and they'll put price tags on them. When you see a garage sale, when you see a sign that says garage sale, you can stop and you can buy things from that person. So this is a very common thing in the summer in Canada. A lot of people will have a garage sale or a yard sale. And we actually have made it a verb as well. You could say, I'm going to go garage sailing. That means you're going to go and find garage sales to try and buy things. So let's back up a bit. When you have a garage sale, it means you gather things that you own that you no longer need, and you try to sell them in front of your house on a Saturday morning. When you go garage sailing, or when you go to a garage sale, it means you go to someone's house to buy things that they don't want anymore. When we had really little kids, we often went garage sailing. We often went to garage sales to buy used items, like a used high chair. A high chair is a tall chair that you could put your small child in when you feed them. So we often went garage sailing. I don't do this anymore, but I know young people still like to have parties. So there are usually parties on the weekend, especially if you are a university student or if you're young and don't have anything to do. You might go to someone's house because they might be having a party. Now, they might be having a house party. A house party is where people stand around and talk. Maybe they drink alcoholic beverages. They might be having a dinner party. A dinner party is a little more formal. Older people usually have dinner parties. Younger people usually have house parties. A dinner party is where you go to someone's house and you sit down and you have a nice meal while you talk to them. So definitely on the weekend, people will have parties. So you might go to a party. Let me just check something here. Oh, I think I switched to my questions, didn't I? Let's see. Excellent. So, hey, I do want to say hi to the 473 people who are watching. Thank you so much for being here on a Friday. I know for some of you, it is already the weekend. You could be out having fun. Well, maybe you're in lockdown or you're in shutdown in Ontario. We're not allowed to go out a lot right now. So, but anyways, thank you for being here and learning a little bit of English. What should I do here? Yeah, I'm going to do a few more slides and then we'll keep going. So a couple of ways to watch a movie. If you go see a movie or if you go to a movie, it means you're going to a movie theater. So many times when I was young, I would go see a movie on a Saturday night, or I would go to a movie. Those are the two most common phrases we use. It means you're leaving your home, you're going to a movie theater, and you're going to watch a movie, as opposed to watch a movie. If I stay home, I might watch a movie. If I leave my house to go to a movie theater, I would say that I'm going to see a movie or that I go to a movie. So you see the difference? So sometimes I'll hear English learners say, I went to the theater, I like to watch a movie. Generally, we say, I go see a movie or I go to a movie. And when you stay home, you could say, watch a movie. Now, it gets a little trickier because you can say, do you want to go watch a movie? But for now, if you want a simple method here, let's just remember that when you go see a movie or go to a movie, you're going to a theater. When you watch a movie, you are usually staying home to watch the movie. Let's see. You might go on a trip. It's very common in many places in the world for people to go on a trip. You might go on a short trip. You might go on a long trip. You might go on what's called a day trip. A day trip is when you leave in the morning and you come back in the evening. But you might go on a trip. Right now, of course, people are not traveling a whole lot. Not many people are going on trips, but you might go on a trip on the weekend to see relatives, to see friends, etc. You might go to a game. So if there are sporting events in your country right now, you might buy a ticket to your favorite sport, to your favorite sporting event, and you might go to a game. I don't often go watch games, but in Canada, the most common games would be soccer, maybe not as much as hockey, basketball, and football. So football being the North American version of football. But you might go to a game or you might watch a game. So notice the difference again. When you go to a game, It means you're going to buy a ticket and you are going to go to a stadium and you are going to watch a game. But when you watch a game at home, sorry, I kind of confused you a bit there by using this phrase. But generally, when you say, this weekend, I'm going to watch a game, people would think you're staying home and watching it on TV. If you said, this weekend, I'm going to go to a game, people know that you're going out to a stadium to watch a game or an arena. Let's see here. You might visit family. It's very common for people to visit family on the weekend. Depending on how far away your family is, you might use the word visit, or you might say, I'm going to go on a little trip to visit my family. So my family lives relatively close to us. So I would just say, oh, I'm going to visit my family this weekend. But Jen's family lives a little further away. So I might say, oh, we're going to take a little trip to visit Jen's family. You might do nothing. You might just do nothing on the weekend. Often when you say to people, do you have any plans for the weekend? They'll actually say, no, I'm just going to do nothing. I'm just going to sit at home and relax. I'm going to do nothing this weekend. It's a totally normal response, especially if you're really tired and exhausted from work. Sometimes you'll simply say to people, you know what, this weekend, I'm not planning on doing anything. I'm just going to do nothing. I'm going to just sit around and do nothing. And you might say, I'm just going to stay home. So do you have any plans for the weekend? Oh, I'm just going to stay home this weekend. We don't have any plans. Actually, Jen and I are planning to stay home this weekend. We don't have any plans. So if you said to me, Bob, do you have any plans for this weekend? I would say, no, Jen and I are just going to stay home this weekend. And then we have something in English called me time. This is kind of an interesting description of time. If you say you need some me time, it means you want to spend time just with yourself. Okay. Often after a busy week at school, and if I have a really busy Saturday where Jen and me and the kids are doing lots of things, I start to want time by myself. And we in English would call that me time. You'll probably hear this on some television shows or movies. People will say, oh, my life's so busy, I just need some me time. So me time is kind of a informal, almost a slang way of saying you just need time for yourself. I often need a little bit of me time, especially late in the day on Saturday or Sunday. I just really want some me time. So you might spend time drinking a cup of tea, reading a book, doing something by yourself when you have me time. You might binge watch a show. So to binge watch something means to sit down and watch this, episodes of the same television show one after the other. So if you really like the TV show Friends and you sit down and you watch 10 episodes of that TV show in a row, we would say that you are binge watching that show. So people often on the weekends will find a really entertaining television show and they'll binge watch the show. They'll watch more than one episode. They'll watch 3 or 4 episodes in a row. And in English, we say that they, this weekend I'm going to binge watch this new television series. So it's definitely a new word. Just in the last 5 or 6 years, we've started to use that word. And then this is a very informal word, and it's pronounced veg, and it's a short form of vegetable. But we sometimes say, oh, I'm not doing anything this weekend. I'm just going to veg. And when you say you're going to veg, it usually means you're just going to lay on the couch, maybe watch TV. You aren't going to do anything productive. So if you said to me, Bob, do you have any plans for this weekend? Or do you have any plans for the weekend? I might say, you know what? No, in fact, Jen's taking the kids to visit her parents, and I'm just gonna lay around and veg. So when you veg, you might read a book, but usually it means you just lay on the couch and watch a bunch of TV, and you don't do anything productive at all. So that's the word veg. I like to lay around and veg sometimes on the weekend for sure. Hey, just let me make a small change here. Let me get to my controls. I am going to flip on members only chat. For those of you that are new here, members of the channel, those who have decided to click the join button below, get a few perks. One of the perks that they get is that we have members only chat for about 10 minutes during the live lessons. So if you are a member right now, you are free. I'm going to point, I think the chat's there or there. You are free to ask questions in the chat, and I'm going to continue answering questions from everyone else as well. So let me get going here. Corey J says, hi, Bob. What about you? Do you really manage to be rid of your usual schedules on the weekend? Can you sleep in, for example? And do you have your meals later? So I do sleep in, but not like how I used to sleep in. When I was young, I would sleep till noon. When I was a university student, I was really good at sleeping in. Now, for me, sleeping in means getting up at 7 instead of 6:30, or getting up at 7:30 at the latest. I don't sleep in very long, but I do try to sleep in. And yes, I do manage to get away from my regular schedule. When I'm done my Saturday live stream, I usually have a very nice weekend from that point on Saturday until Monday morning. Let's see here. Oh, Angelica. Hello, Bob. Me time. Can I also say time out? Time out can mean different things. When your kids are bad, you can give them a timeout. So if your kids do something wrong, you can say, you need to sit in this chair for 3 minutes because you have been bad. I'm giving you a timeout. But you can also say that you need to take time out from your busy day. And that might be more what you're referring to. So when I need me time, it means I need to take time out from my busy schedule to relax. So I think that's probably closer to what you're wanting to say. Sam says, hello, Teacher Bob. What are the common activities of nightlife in Canada? So I would say, depending on your age, it would be going out to eat is a common activity in terms of nightlife. Going out to a bar or going dancing, if you're a younger person, that would be considered nightlife. We do also have casinos. I'm not sure if you have gambling in your country, but we have casinos in Niagara Falls. There is a casino. We also in Toronto have a lot of theaters where you can see a live play. So that would be considered nightlife as well. I think those would be the most common. The most common one would probably be to meet some friends at a bar and to have a beer. That would be considered nightlife for sure. I don't do that very often at all. Let's see here. Panthera Nori says, dear Teacher Bob, what was the toss and turn thing you just mentioned? Maybe I misspelled it. No, you spelled it right. So when you're sleeping and then you're having trouble sleeping, so let's say it's midnight and you slept for 2 hours and you wake up and you roll over and you try to sleep and you sleep for a bit, but then you wake up again and you roll over and you try to sleep and you try to sleep on your back for a bit. When you're doing that in bed, when you're trying to sleep and you're kind of rolling over and, trying to sleep on one side then the other, we say that you're tossing and turning. Sometimes I'll say to Jen, oh, I didn't sleep good. I tossed and turned all night. What I mean is that I just couldn't get to sleep. So you did spell it right, and that's what it means. Madi's talking to Rod, saying, thank you, sir. A bouquet of flowers from Madi. Awesome. Thanks, Bob. Try to unwind anyways. Hey, that's a great word too, Corey J. When you try to unwind, so when you're busy during the week, you feel a lot of stress, but when you try to unwind, it means you're trying to relax. Panthera says, I also like waking up early to have a productive day. Getting up early can be hard to do, but I can get a lot done in the morning. So I actually really like getting up early, but sometimes it's really hard to do. I just want to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. I got Sam's and Panthera's. We're at Annette. I don't see Annette's message. It disappeared. Svetlana says, hello, Bob. Could you please recommend a good movie you enjoyed watching recently and to watch this weekend? I have not watched a lot of movies recently, Svetlana, because there are no real new movies. I don't want to go to a theater. There aren't a lot of new movies in the theater, and there haven't been a lot of new movies on Netflix or anything else that I watch. So I don't have a new movie. Usually I watch a movie once or twice a month, usually on the weekend, but I haven't seen anything new lately. So sorry, I want to watch Tenet, but it's not yet out yet on any streaming services. Let's see here. Tia Agnes says, I just left here a moment ago and I don't know if I missed your message. Oh, you guys are talking to each other. Awesome. Annette says, hi, dear Teacher Bob. On Saturday, you have the live stream for you. Is the live stream Saturday work? You know, it's kind of half and half. It's really fun to do, but sometimes it does feel a little bit like work. So I don't know. It's hard to describe, Annette. It's something I enjoy doing so much. I don't consider it work. But every few weeks or so, I do take a Saturday off because I just need to relax a bit instead of doing the live stream. So I would say it's a little bit of both. It's like a job that you love. Let's put it that way. I love doing it, so that's how I would describe it. Let's see. Key Park says it's Thanksgiving Day this weekend. What's your plan on the holiday? So it was Thanksgiving last weekend. So this coming weekend is a normal weekend, but last weekend was Thanksgiving weekend. Normally, I would have spent time with family, but because of COVID, we just spent time with the kids. We didn't do anything special. SEO Woo says, I come alive every weekend night like a night owl. Oh, a night owl. That's awesome. A night owl is a person who loves being out at night and loves staying up late. I'm not a night owl. I'm an early bird. I like to get up early in the morning. Corey J says, do the flea markets exist in Canada? It's a place where people stroll on the weekend in France. So yes, we have a variety of outdoor markets. We have farmers markets. We have flea markets. A farmer's market is where farmers sell fruits and vegetables. A flea market is where people sell all kinds of things. They sell crafts and things they make out of leather. It's a really cool market to go to. Let's see here. Samuel says, hi, Bob. It's Friday night in East Asia. I often watch your live on Friday night. Just a little correction. I think it's a fulfilling time to learn English from your life. Well, thank you. I'm jealous that it's the weekend for you already. That's very cool. It will be the weekend for me in, I think, about 8 hours, 9 hours or so. It'll be the weekend. Actually, 10 hours. It'll come eventually. But anyway, Samuel, I hope you're having a good evening. Panthera Nori, what is the difference between schedule and agenda? Is there any? So I have a really packed agenda today. I have a really packed schedule. There are slight differences, but for the most part, they are the same. Rod says, Mr. Bob, which is your favorite holiday? Christmas, New Year's, or none? You know, trying to think here. I think my favorite holiday is Christmas. I do, because we have more than one day off. We actually get a whole week off at Christmas. So I think it's just the number of days, Rod. I get more days off. Annette says, thank you very much. It's the same for me learning English. That's awesome, Annette. And Madi says, hey, Teacher Bob, do you sleep well during the weekend more than a normal day? You know, Madi, I often sleep better during the week. Sometimes on the weekend, I'll sleep in a little bit, or I'll have a really long nap in the afternoon. So I'll sleep in the afternoon, and then I don't sleep very good that evening. So it really, really just depends. Let's go to a question from Peter. Peter says, could you please explain the difference between by the weekend? So by the weekend and on the weekend. Thank you. So my boss might say to me, this job needs to be done by the weekend. So if it's a Tuesday and my boss says, you need to finish this by the weekend, it means that before I leave on Friday, that job needs to be done. If my boss said, you need to do this job on the weekend, it means I have to do it on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. Let me get to the next question. Oh, lolly. So, bonjour, Bob. Do you use this expression, a bank holiday weekend? Merci, Bob. So we don't. I think that's a British term, to have a bank holiday weekend. We have civic holidays, we call them in Canada. So it's very unique to Canada. A civic holiday is when the government gives you a holiday, and it's generally a day where the banks are closed, but we don't in this country call it that. I have heard the term before, though. Let's see here. Just going to skip through some questions here. Yeah, this is from Katerina. So this kind of covers, just let me fix this a little bit. Oh, I'm not going to be able to. Katerina says, nice to see you. Dear Teacher Bob, tell me please, what's the difference between at the weekend and at the weekends? Thank you. So again, in Canada and in the United States, we usually say on the weekend. And let me explain the difference. If I say on the weekend, I went skiing, it means that I went this past weekend. If I say on the weekends, in the winter I go skiing, it means every weekend I go skiing. So hopefully that made some sense. Chen Chen says, "Hi, Teacher Bob. Long time no see." Hi, Chen Chen. What things do most people do on the weekend in Canada? Now, if you were in Britain, you could say at the weekend, so don't get it confused. I think most people my age sleep in a little bit, and you'll see as I continue the lesson, I'm going to talk about the things I usually do on the weekend, and they're a lot more boring. So you'll see that in just a moment. Let's see here. Let's see. Yeah, Panthera. Thanks, Panthera, for letting Tier Agnes know how this works. Thanks, Maudie. Would you still work on the weekend? I don't mind working on the weekend, but I do like my time off as well. What about the shops? Can you go shopping on Sunday? Is it open? So Corey J has that question. In Canada, when I was a kid, stores were closed on Sundays, but I'm going to say about 20 years ago, maybe a little longer, stores started to open on the weekends, on Sunday. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once. So right now, if I wanted to, I could go shopping on a Sunday. That has been true in Canada, in my part of Canada, for many, many years. So you can shop any day of the weekend. Let's see here. So, by the way, members only chat is now off. Everyone can chat again. Please continue to use the form to ask questions, though. And I do want to say thank you once again to all of my members. If you would like to help support what I do and get all of the perks, there is a join button somewhere you can consider joining, and I appreciate it if you do. But let's get back to, let's see here. Let me do a couple more questions, and then we'll jump back to the lesson. Irfan says, is it fine to say over the past few weeks we had faced that? So here's how you would say that. Over the past few weeks, we've faced the same problem, or we have faced the same problem. So a few corrections there, Irfan, on that one. Tatev says, what do you and your families do on the weekend? What type of things do you have to do on the weekend? Thank you, Teacher Bob. Well, Tatev, you'll see in a moment some of the things that people my age with kids do on the weekend. I'll talk about them as we continue with the lesson, which maybe I'll do right now. So let's jump back. So if you are a parent, if you have children, or if you are older like me, the next few things might be things that you would do on the weekend. You might take the kids to practice. Sports are a very big part of Canadian and American life, okay? Kids around the world often play sports. The same is true in North America. So often people will need to take their kids to practice. Maybe they play soccer or football or hockey. It's very common on the weekend to take the kids to practice. You can also say take your kids to practice. And it's also common to take the kids to their game. So let's say, by the way, none of my kids are on any sports teams right now. They don't really exist. They kind of do because of COVID. But normally on a Saturday, a Canadian parent will either be taking their kid or kids to a practice, or they might have an actual game where they're playing against another team. So those two things are very common activities on the weekend in the United States, in Canada, and I would imagine in many parts of the world. I tend to have to run some errands on Saturdays. So sometimes before my Saturday live stream or after, I go out and I run errands. That means I might get some groceries. I might pick up my mail from the post office. I might just go out and do a few things. I might run some errands. So those are the little things you need to do in life. Maybe I need to renew my driver's license. So that is a common thing as well. I don't do this, but many people will wash the car on Saturday morning. I don't wash my vehicles. I just wait for it to rain. That's good enough for me. But many people will wash their car, or they'll wash the car because they like their car to be clean. In Canada, in the winter, we have a lot of salt on the roads to melt the ice and snow. So a lot of people like to wash the car on Saturday. If we have a warm day in the winter, many people will wash the car to get all of the salt off of it and dirt. You might do yard work. So you might need to mow the lawn. You might need to just clean some things up. You might need to do a little bit of gardening. You might need to, in the fall, we dig plants up so that we can put the bulbs inside for the winter. So you might need to do a little bit of yard work so that your yard looks really nice and tidy. And then, of course, you will probably need to do some housework. I don't know if you clean your whole house every day, or if you're like Jen and I, we do the dishes throughout the week. We keep the house tidy throughout the week, and we do laundry most days or every other day. But on the weekend, we do more housework. So we usually vacuum on the weekend. We usually sweep up or mop the kitchen floor. So on the weekend, often you will end up doing a lot more housework. You'll do some housework throughout the week. So from Monday to Friday, you'll do a little bit of housework. But when the weekend comes, you'll probably do a lot more housework. Well, I don't know if this one might be out of order. You might go to a wedding. Sorry. I usually have my slides in a certain order, but that's fine. This makes sense. Most weddings in Canada are on the weekend, okay? Friday night weddings sometimes happen, but the most common day for a wedding in my country is Saturday. So when people get married, they often have a ceremony. That's the religious portion of the wedding in the afternoon on a Saturday. And then they have a reception, which is kind of the party part of the wedding on a Saturday evening. So the most common day to get married in Canada, I think, is Saturday. I think almost every wedding I've ever gone to has been on a Saturday. Some people do get married on a Sunday. That happens as well. And if people are trying to have a wedding that doesn't cost too much, they might do it on a Saturday evening. They might have a smaller wedding on a Saturday evening, but you might need to go to a wedding. And then we talked about this a little bit. It's a nice day to go shopping. You might go get groceries. You might go to the mall. You might go to a farmer's market. Earlier, someone mentioned flea markets. A flea market is similar to a farmer's market, but it has more than just fruits and vegetables. So often a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning is a nice time to go to a farmer's market, or to go to a market, or to go just to a mall and do some normal shopping. So that is a very common thing to do on a Saturday morning, sometimes on a Sunday morning. If you are a religious person, you might have worship or services or prayers. You might on a Friday evening or a Saturday or Sunday, depending on your religion. You might go to your local mosque. You might go to a church. You might go to a temple. You might go to a synagogue. People who have religious practices sometimes have parts of the weekend where they do those practices. So again, you might go to Friday night prayers. You might go to a church service on a Sunday morning. You might go to your synagogue on a Saturday. Depending on your religion, there might be a religious activity on the weekend. So again, you might go to your local mosque. You might go to your local church. You might go to a temple. You might go to a synagogue. There are many religions in the world, and some of them have things throughout the weekend. So very common as well for people to practice religious activities on the weekend. You might take a class. You might be trying to better yourself. You might be trying to learn something new. And so you might take a class. Usually classes for people my age are at night during the week, but people do sometimes take a class on a Saturday. If you are learning English, you might have an English class on a Saturday morning or a Saturday afternoon. It might be an in-person class, or it might be online. But it's very common for people who are trying to learn something new. It's very common for them to take a class. And then this is my last slide of the lesson, and then I'll answer questions till the end. Sometimes people just take a nap. This is a hammock, by the way. I wasn't sure if you had ever learned the word, but a hammock is kind of a piece of fabric that you attach outside to two trees or inside just to the walls. But this person is taking a nap, and they are doing it in a hammock. So a hammock is a great place to take a nap. I think I should buy a hammock. I think I would like laying in a hammock on a Saturday afternoon, taking a nap in the shade of a tree or reading a book. Be really nice to have. So anyways, let me flip that back. Thanks for watching this lesson. I'm going to answer questions till the end. We have a few minutes here where I'm just going to go through some questions. So if you did submit a question, hopefully I get to it. But hopefully you were able to learn a little bit more about the weekend. It's a fun time of the week. It's my favorite time of the week. I think Monday mornings are my least favorite time during the week, but the weekend is certainly my favorite. Let's do some questions though. Cicero says, "Hi Bob, how can I explain how my weekend was?" Okay, I've just flipped some words around there, Cicero, so it's a little more correct. How can I explain how my weekend was? Well, you say things like this: I had a great weekend. Oh, I had a really nice weekend. So if someone says, how was your weekend? Remember, we looked at that phrase earlier. You could say, oh, I had a great weekend. Oh, I had a good weekend. Oh, I had a nice weekend. And then you usually follow that up by mentioning something you did. So a common phrase for me would be, oh, I had a great weekend. Yesterday, Jen and I took the kids hiking. We had a really nice day seeing the fall colors. So you really just describe your weekend. You usually don't say, I had a bad weekend, unless you're talking to a close friend or family member. You usually wouldn't do that. Talk Italian with Arone says, what's your favorite weekend activity? Ciao, Bob. I think my nap is my favorite activity. No, I do like going out with Jen and the kids. I think that would be my favorite thing to do. Sometimes when we're busy, it's hard to find time to do that. But I certainly think that is one of my favorite things to do. Remember, I am going to skip questions that aren't on the topic. So Nihad says, what does it mean when someone says that a typical... Oh, what does it mean when someone says, what is a typical weekend for you? I think that's what you're asking, Nihad. That's basically saying, what do you normally do on a weekend? So not a long weekend, not a holiday weekend. What is a typical weekend like for you? And then you would just describe some of the things you do every weekend. Oh, I sleep in a bit. I go have breakfast with my brother. I run some errands. I take the kids to practice. You would just describe what a typical weekend is. I hope, Nihad, that I answered your question there. Let's see here. Natalia says, I have no question today. I spent last weekend and a few days after in Turkey, in Istanbul. Sorry, it's hard for me to pronounce Istanbul. I want to say hello to people from Turkey. They are really wonderful. Well, that's really cool, Natalia, that you were able to get away, that you were able to have to take a small trip on the weekend. That's really neat that you could do that. And that is great English writing, by the way. Good job there on writing. Pretty much perfect. I have no question today. I spent last weekend and a few days after in Turkey and in Istanbul. I want to say hello to people from Turkey. They are really wonderful. Perfect. Excellent job. Glad you could get away, and perfect English writing. Henry from Taiwan says, hello, Teacher Bob. I kind of live. Just one sec here. Hello, Teacher Bob. I kind of live on the weekend. Sorry, I just clicked something wrong. I want to check something. Yes. Okay, good. Sorry. I clicked the wrong button and I thought I ended the stream, but I didn't. Henry says, hello, Teacher Bob. I kind of live on the weekend. How does Teacher Bob make use of the day off to balance the hectic work and life? Thank you. By the way, another great good English writing there. Yeah, for me, there's a phrase in English, different is as good as time off. And that means that doing something different can be the same as taking a break. So I enjoy the weekend because I don't do any work for school. I know I do a live stream, which is technically teaching, but I enjoy doing something different on the weekend. And that for me is just a nice thing to do. So anytime I can read a book for a long period of time, watch a movie, spend time with Jen and the kids. Annette from Quebec says, hi, Bob. Now in Quebec, we can no longer go for brunch because all the restaurants are closed. Are they also in your city? Have a good weekend. So in my area, restaurants are still open, but just outside of where I live, restaurants are closed. So in the large cities, in Toronto, in Ottawa, in those larger cities, the restaurants are closed. So right now, I could go out for brunch, but I haven't been to a restaurant since February. I'm not comfortable going out to a public place like that. By the way, Annette, I don't know if, let's see, I used to work at Marie Antoinette's on Saint-Foy in Quebec City. I don't know if that restaurant's still there, but many, many years ago, I worked at that restaurant. Let's see here. Isam says, good morning, Teacher Bob. How are you? I am from Israel. Cool. Hello. Welcome. What's the difference between vacation and holiday? We use them interchangeably. Like, I'm going on a holiday, I'm going on vacation. When are you taking your holidays? When are you taking your vacation? So if you're at work, you could say to someone, oh, are you taking a holiday next week? Or are you on holidays next week? You could also say, are you on vacation next week? All the same. Yep. For us, at least here in my part of the world. Let's see here. Johan says, hi, Bob. I would like to know if it's common to say, I'm eager to do something, or do you just see that in writing? Do you say that often? We do. Like, oh, I'm really eager to go out for dinner with Jen once we're out of the pandemic. Yeah, we do say that. It's maybe not as common as saying, I really want to. Oh, I really want to go skydiving. I don't really want to go skydiving, but you see my point. I think we use that a lot more. That very familiar, I really want to go skiing. I really want to go to this restaurant, which is good for English learners because it's a little, English speakers speak very simple English in everyday speech. Let's see here. John Lee says, hello, Bob. I'm John from Taiwan. Hi, John. I'd like to ask that if the Canadians go to work on the weekend, will the employers pay extra or just the usual? It depends. Most people, if they work on the weekends, they'll get overtime. So when the boss pays you extra, we usually call it overtime, or we'll say you get bonus pay. Sometimes, I'm getting a little technical here, but people will get time and a half or double time. So if I make $15 an hour and I get time and a half, it means that I'll get $22.50. I hope I did the math right. If I make $15 an hour and I work on a Saturday and I get paid double time, it means they'll give me $30 per hour if I normally make 15. So yes, John, generally when you work on the weekends in Canada, you usually get a little bit of extra pay, but not always. I mean, when I was younger and I was a construction worker, if I worked Saturday, I got the same pay. I didn't get anything extra. Let me just check something here. Let's go. Abdel says, hi, Teacher Bob. How are you doing? I want to ask you, what's the activities that Canadian people do on the weekend? I would say people my age spend a lot of time going out to eat. If they have kids, going to their kids' sporting events, either practices or games, relaxing. And then running errands is probably one of the biggest ones. We run a lot of errands for sure. Erica says, hi, Bob. Normally there, do you work on the weekend? I mean, as a teacher, do the schools stay open on the weekend? I'm just curious. Thanks. You're a great teacher as well. I made a lot of corrections there, Erica. Sorry. But no, generally teachers do not go to school on the weekend. But most teachers do work on the weekend at home. If my students write a test on a Friday, I might sit down on Saturday and grade their test. Okay. So we don't have to go to work, but many teachers do actually work a little bit on the weekend. Rosemary says, could you explain again the meaning of worship? It wasn't clear to me. So if you're a religious person, you might have worship services. So if you're a Christian, for instance, and you go to a church, on a Sunday morning, your church might have a worship service where you go and you participate in your religious activities. So that's simply the meaning of worship. If you look it up, you'll get a much broader definition. But generally in North America, we use the word worship when we're talking about the Christian religion. Let's see here. Oh, Pamelo says, hi, dear teacher. What do you do on the weekend? How old are you? Thanks for supporting. I do a lot of adult type stuff on the weekend. So I do yard work. I run errands. I relax a little bit. I do some housework, all those kinds of things. And how old am I? I am in my late 40s. Let me see here. I think I only have 2 more questions. Let's keep going. Next question is not on topic. Ario says, hello, Mr. Robert. No question today. I was sleeping in my wheelchair. My eyes look fresh now. So I hope, Ario, you're not up super late watching this live stream. I hope that you get good sleep this weekend. But anyways, folks, I'm going to wrap this up. That was the last question. I got through all the questions today. Remember, if I didn't answer your question, it's because it was not on the topic of the weekend, okay? I am doing a live lesson tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time where you can ask any question you want, and I'll do my best to answer it. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. This lesson, there will be a shorter version in a couple of days where I remove all of your questions. So it's just the lesson. If you do want to rewatch this lesson to kind of help you remember what you've learned, that shorter version is a nice version to watch. It's usually about 30 minutes long, sometimes a little longer. That'll be out in a couple of days. But anyways, I do want to once again say thank you to the 570 people watching. You guys are awesome. Big thank you to Todd and Dave for moderating the chat. Again, it's so nice to have moderators that keep things civil in the chat. It's awesome for me to know that everyone has nice English conversations as well. Remember, if you want to support my channel, if you want to support what I do, there is a join button down below. You can explore that and decide if that's something you want to do. You get a few extra things. You get an extra video on Wednesdays and a couple other little things. But in general, I just appreciate all of you who have clicked that. And if you are new here, the subscribe button is free, and then you find out whenever I put out a new lesson on YouTube. Do go watch my lesson from last week if you haven't watched it. I'm going to put a link to it right now in the chat. So if you didn't watch my videos from this past week, there are 2 links that will pop up from Nightbot in the chat right now. Go have a look, watch those, see if they are cool and something for you so that you can improve your English. Anyways, bye everybody. It's nice to be here, but I got to go to work. So I am jealous of all of you who already are experiencing the weekend. I still have to work a full day. I think it'll go well though. I do enjoy my job, but anyways, bye. Have a really, really good weekend. Let me see here. I should click the button now, shouldn't I? The little pointer for my mouse disappeared on my screen. So it's just me sitting here looking for the little pointer. Oh, it's there. I found it. There we go. Anyways, bye everybody.